Oh, God damn it! I can't play this game anymore, dude! You know, I'm usually not the biggest fan of the horror genre. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always hated them and never really understood the appeal. Why would anyone want to sit there and feel uncomfortable voluntarily? This was especially true when I watched this one movie in the 5th grade right before the first day of school, and I couldn't sleep because that movie was giving me some serious nightmares, okay? So yeah, I kind of have some personal trauma associated with the horror genre from childhood. These things are deep-rooted, okay? They don't just go away. With that being said, Silent Hill 2, it's a bit different, and if you've played it, you know exactly what I mean. It's not like most horror games. It sets itself apart in a way that really gets to you emotionally. So much so that it even got to me a little bit towards the end there. Oh, shit, bro. That's f***ed up, bro. Man, god, bro. My eyes like watery as shit. And for a game to have you continue to think on it days on end, even after you finish the game, that's when you know you've experienced a masterpiece. I obviously want to avoid spoilers as much as possible for this video because this is a why you should play. So I'm going to assume that if you're watching this video to begin with, you haven't played the game yet, and even if you have, you're going to want to take this journey with me into the fog, and I'll make you realize why you should play Silent Hill 2. You see, my introduction to Silent Hill wasn't through playing the actual series at all. Hell, this video's coming at you from someone who hasn't even played a single entry in the series except for the remake. That may change now that I've played through the remake, but maybe that's for another video. I actually was introduced to Silent Hill 2 through this YouTuber, Super Eyepatchwolf. If you guys don't know of his channel, please go check it out. The content that he makes is some of the best I've seen on YouTube and a huge part of the reason this video even exists to begin with. With that being said, his video really sold me on trying out the game for myself, but with talk of a remake on the horizon, I figured I'd wait for that to release instead and experience it that way. And I'm really glad that I did. I'm not normally big on remakes. If you've been watching my channel for a while now, you know my opinion on them and why I'm usually a bigger fan of the source material. Now, I'm not a fan of the original, and maybe this is why my perspective of the remake is much more favorable than someone who holds the original dear, but I think I can finally understand the perspective of other people who may hold a game like Final Fantasy VII Remake in high regard if they never played the original Final Fantasy VII. Just another thing to thank Silent Hill 2 Remake for. Now, before we even begin to talk about the game itself...
No, they're saying Boo Earns. Boo Earns.
Are you saying Boo or Boo Earns?
I quickly want to touch on audience reception of this remake before its release. With a name like Bluebird Team, I guess I can't really blame anyone for thinking this was going to be an absolute flop. Combine that with the fact that Konami was involved, and it's just a recipe for disaster. Just look at the comments. Some of the more brutal ones include, I feel like Konami took a look at the RE remakes and said, we could do that for less, and living up to the standard of AAA games. I'm glad people in the comments see what I see and aren't blinded by hype or nostalgia. Or even, thank you, Konami, for this indie game. I gotta be honest, this looks basically unchanged from what I've played in the final release. I more so think this was a marketing issue, showing some action-packed, high-octane gameplay that Silent Hill 2 is just straight up not. I don't know who Konami thinks their audience is with this one, but I will say, what a poor trailer to put together for a game like this. Obviously, you don't play this game for the combat, it's arguably the worst part of the game. What you do come to this game for is the story. Remember what I said earlier about this game being unlike any horror game I've played before. There's this sense of eeriness that's present right from when you start up the game that just builds and builds and builds until you reach the ending. The intro, now that I'm rewatching it, takes on an entirely new meaning now that I've finished the game, and I bet you if I went ahead and did New Game Plus, there's probably plenty more nuanced details I'd find out about the game that I didn't notice the first time through. I love when a game is able to accomplish things like this because it means there was some serious thought put into it, and to be able to fully appreciate it, multiple playthroughs are required. There's really only one other piece of media I can think of that's been able to accomplish something similar, except that it's in movie form, that being Hereditary. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and if you haven't, you should definitely go watch it. Both of these pieces of media certainly deserve to be in the genre of horror, but they're not conventionally scary in that the scares are never in your face. No, if anything, it's that there's something horribly wrong here and that all is not what it seems. But no matter what you do, you can't quite find the source of the danger. But the more you look for it, the more it eludes you, and the longer you take to find it, the bigger it grows until it becomes something truly horrifying. That really sums up the plot of Silent Hill 2, so if that at all sounds intriguing to you, then what the hell are you still doing here? Don't forget about the music. Akira Yamaoka did a stellar job for the original track, and they even were able to get him to return for the remake, remaking the tracks so that they're up to modern standards, on top of including new ones. It's not often, but when that music kicks in, you can't help but admire the perfectly somber tone of the intro, versus the moments where some insane revelation is revealed and the music kicks it into high gear to really drive that moment home. Or this track near the end of the game where you know there's no turning back anymore. It really reminds me of the track Final Hours in Majora's Mask. Honestly, you could flip-flop the tracks within both games and it would sound perfect to me either way. As good as the music is, Silent Hill 2 heavily relies on ambient noise, sound effects, and the environment to create the best atmosphere in a video game I've ever experienced. Bro, the sound design in this game goes crazy. Listen to that, bro. If you guys can even hear it. That's something you gotta appreciate. Oh, dude, the way he sloshes around in the mud. Oh, this game is gonna freak me out. The sound of James' footsteps as he walks along the sloshed, muddy, unpaved road that leads into Silent Hill, the eerie, off-note piano-like music, the soft trickle of water coming out of the sewage, and all this just at the beginning of the game. There's even a few moments that had me on edge where I could have sworn I heard a woman's breathing or someone whispering, but it's gone just as quick as it comes. Did you guys hear that? Just another way the developers come at the psyche of the player. I'm so glad that I played this game with headphones on because it's definitely the best way to experience this game to the fullest. Let's talk about the environment, but first, let me touch on something real quick. I've always thought that the PT demo that Kojima created a while back was one of the most interesting pieces of media that I've seen to this day. Maybe part of that is due to how it's no longer playable in a mainstream way, but whatever. I was able to experience PT through YouTube, but that's definitely the kind of experience you want to play through yourself if you can. And finally, in a way, I was able to do that. Let me explain what I mean. PT is a game where you're stuck in a loop unless you can find a clue to move the loop forward. It could be something like a door shaking, or a picture that's different this time around, or a bunch of different things. Either way, the further you go through the demo, the worse your surroundings become. There will be cockroaches on the walls where there weren't before, markings, lighting changes, a creepy woman, and the halls deteriorate to the point where it's unrecognizable from when you started the demo at the beginning of the loop. It's an amazing way to do horror, and I've always admired that sort of game design. It's a good thing, too, that Silent Hill 2 does this in spades. You'll begin a section with the area looking just as it should. A normal-looking apartment complex as you solve puzzle after puzzle, making your way throughout. But slowly but surely, things start to warp and deteriorate. Monsters show their faces where they weren't once before, and you really start to feel yourself go crazy. The game continues to ramp this up as you go further and further along, to the point where I even start to think the game was getting too intense for me. He's trying to hug my ass. He's trying to hug my ass. You know a game is doing its job when you don't want to continue because of how intense it feels. That's the kind of feeling Silent Hill 2 was going for, and it delivers in spades. All of the environments have significance to the storyline too. It's not like they're just throwing these areas at you with no forethought behind them. I'm not getting too deep into this because we'll tread into spoiler territory, but no, almost everything in the game has a deeper meaning behind it. Silent Hill 2 also includes one of the best boss fights in gaming. I'm not gonna spoil it, but dude, this part was freaking cool. That's not to say everything about Silent Hill 2 is positive though. There are a few things that I will knock points for. The combat, like I mentioned earlier, isn't its strong suit, and there were even moments where I found myself enjoying the game more when I was able to just get through the combat portions and experience the story without having to deal with the enemies. Again though, this boss fight, holy sh! Exploration at times can be tedious too. Sometimes your progress will be completely halted because you missed one key hidden in the corner of a room that you didn't check, and now you need to run around this big-ass map over and over again until you hopefully find it so you can move forward.
Oh, you motherfucker, I missed the key on the couch, bro. Oh, you...
A lot of the environments too can begin to feel like the same hallways you've been traveling in for hours now. Maybe part of that is due to there being 2 different apartment complexes you'll be going through that you'll spend several hours in each. Outside of these few nitpicks though, it's small potatoes because otherwise, you're in for a pretty masterful experience. In conclusion, Silent Hill 2 is one of the most impactful games that I've played in recent memory. I can't remember the last time I've shown any sort of emotion towards a video game, so to see that being rectified with this game means it's one for the record books. I hope this video was convincing enough for you to give this game a try, and I hope that you'll share your experience with the game down in the comments below. A big thank you to my members who helped me beat this game, cause I couldn't have done it without you guys. No, literally, I would have p***ed my pants. Jared, Adam, Fire, Nerve, Parks, Sam, you guys are the best. Also, the cover playing at the end of this video was done by my brother, so if you guys wouldn't mind giving his channel a look after finishing this video, that'd be great. With that, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time in our special place, Silent Hill.